Hello! So, today I'm going to be sharing with you the weird, wonderful and wacky interviews I had for my masters. Well, maybe not so wonderful, they were just weird and wacky. Have you ever sat in an interview and you knew exactly what was going on and you knew how to prepare for it? Well, these interviews were not like that. They had me questioning my sanity the whole time. I'm going to start with the University of Roehampton. This interview was on a Friday afternoon from 12 to 1:15. And all appeared quite normal. They told us it was going to be a group interview and I was like, that's fine. And it was on Zoom. That's also fine. But you know what wasn't fine? Making us talk to strangers that we had just met for an hour and 15 minutes without telling us what to talk about. So, rewind. Here's what happened. They told us the interview is going to be on Zoom. Here's the link. Just be there and have your proof of ID. So I had my driver's license ready to show them when they asked for it. And that was it. So there was 8 of us, 2 people didn't show up. And then there was 2 people interviewing us and they introduced themselves and then they said, introduce yourselves. And then they switched off their microphones. One of them switched off their camera as well. Everyone was a bit confused. So we all took it in turns to introduce ourselves. And then when we finished introducing ourselves, we all were just like, so what happens next? And they didn't tell us what happens next. They just expected us to talk for an hour and 15 minutes about anything and everything. And every now and then, somebody would ask, what are we supposed to be talking about? Is there something you guys would like us to talk about? Specifically, or are we just meant to just have a chit chat about anything and everything? So we were all confused and we just carried on making random conversation. Obviously about psychological things, counselling things, everything therapy related. We just made up conversation. Nothing could have prepared me for how awkward and weird this was going to be because I didn't know these people. I didn't know what I was expected to talk about and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I was being measured on. I was just expected to talk to random people about something I didn't even know what to talk about. So I decided halfway through the interview for myself mentally to just inspire as much interesting and captivating conversations surrounding psychology and counselling as much as I could, and I did that. And I think maybe that's what got me accepted into the university. I'll never know. They never gave us feedback. So I saw the interview coming to an end and I was like, you know what, let me make a really nice amazing point so that when the interview ends they've got me on their mind. And that's what I did. In the last 5 minutes I spoke about something. And then a lady responded, and halfway through her sentence, one of the people conducting the interview came back on and said, that concludes our interview. Thank you for coming. And then they just ended it and then they told us to go and that was it. And they didn't take any questions. They didn't tell us when they'd get back to us. They just said adios, goodbye, that's it. We were so confused. I'm still confused because I don't know what they were looking for. I don't know what they were expecting. Nonetheless, I got accepted. So with that, I would just suggest if you are applying, for example, for the University of Roehampton, just be present, try to have an interesting point of view, try to say something that's interesting, try to incite a different perspective, try to start conversations about interesting things and topics that are counselling and psychology related to show that you are a critical thinker, to show that you think outside the box and that you can, you can be analytical as well. That's all I can say, but nothing could have prepared me for that interview. I just had to think on the spot and it worked out for me, so I hope it works out for you too. Now on to the next one. The next one was the University of Leeds. Now this one was also a group interview with about 6 people and this interview was 6 hours long, yes, from 9:30 till 3 p.m. and it was not worth it and it did not make sense and it was just so unnecessary. No interview needs to be that long because at the end of it I got rejected the next day anyway. I don't know exactly what they were looking for, but they asked us a few questions at the start and we all took it in turns to speak. At least this time around there was a bit more direction. They asked questions, we answered, and we spoke about things as a group, and then we would have little breaks in between. Between the breaks, I took a little nap on my sofa because it was just exhausting. So towards the very end, they asked us to do this thing where we had to pretend to be someone in our lives and then talk about the relationship that we have together from their perspective, and it was so weird. So I pretended to be somebody and then I spoke about our relationship from his perspective. It was just the weirdest thing. I just don't know. And you had to stand up. You couldn't sit in front of your camera. You had to stand up and show your whole body in front of everybody, and you had to speak for, I think it was 6 to 10 minutes. So you had to be very creative. I am not a drama student. I don't know what relevance that had to do with anything. But anyway, I did it nonetheless. I was the last one to go because I really didn't want to do it, but I did it. And yeah, it didn't teach me anything. So that interview was very odd, and to say 6 hours for an interview just to get into a master's course, not necessary at all. So if you're applying for the University of Leeds, I don't know if they're still doing this, prepare yourself for a 6-hour interview that will really test you in all different sorts of areas and in different things. In the last hour, they finished at 2, and in the last hour from 2 till 3, they took us one by one to do 10-minute interviews individually, which was a lot better and a lot quicker, and then they allowed you to ask questions if you had any, which is better than Roehampton, for example, who didn't allow you to ask any questions. Now, the University of Derby wasn't as weird. It was kind of what I would expect from a counselling interview. So it was on Skype. It was only 30 minutes, and it was just very quick and straight to the point. They asked me why I was applying for that uni, why I wanted to be a counsellor, and why I wanted to do this course, and why I wanted to go to their university instead of another university, and you know, the typical questions that you would expect. They asked me to do a quick role play for about 10 minutes where I had to be the counsellor and one of them was the client. I had 2 interviewers and one of them was the client. So I did that, and I don't think I did that good, honestly. I think I was quite nervous and I wasn't prepared for it. I was literally at an Airbnb with my friend, and I remembered, and I just had to wake up and get ready and look presentable and fix Wi-Fi connection. So I was not prepared for that one, but I still got accepted, although they did put me on a wait list. And they did accept me much later on in August. The interview was in May, so they put me on a wait list in May, and then they accepted me in August. So if you're applying for the University of Derby to do your Masters in Integrative Counselling and Psychotherapy, that's probably what the interview process is still like. So all I can say is, in general, prepare to do a role play. You probably might be asked to do a role play for any university. Prepare to do a short essay. Prepare for doing a case study. Those are the 3 things that are most likely to come up in any interview that you will do for this course. And obviously, the more universities that you apply for, the more variety of interviews that you're going to have. I don't know if they're still going to be on Zoom. All of mine were online. So obviously, now that we're kind of out of the woods with the pandemic, you might be doing them face to face. I don't know if that would be better or worse, but leave in the comments if you've ever had some very strange interviews for your counselling courses, whether that's a diploma, a degree or a master's. Let me know in the comments below. So now that I've shared with you the weird and wacky interviews that I had, I've also got this video telling you guys how to prepare for your interviews when they do come about, because now you should definitely be applying for your place. If the applications are not already open, they will be opening next month. So I will have a video on how to prepare for your interview so that you can increase your chances of being accepted. And I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and to subscribe. Bye!